A dream catcher is a visually attractive piece of art. It is colorful and in olden days was made up of a number of natural elements like the willow, yarn, and feathers. This artifact was used not just to adorn a wall or crib of a child for its visual aesthetic of design, color, and pattern, but also for keeping in line with the olden tribal stories of the Native Americans. The dream catcher was traditionally made by the mother or the elders in the house to protect the thoughts of a sleeping child. The artifact was responsible to filter out the dreams by letting only the good pass on to the child. According to the old tribal stories, the elements involved in making the dream catcher served a very functional purpose, as every element contributed in forming the functional aesthetic of the artifact. The willow acted as a binding force. The yarn was woven in a pattern mirroring that of a spider's web, acting like a filter for the thoughts. The feathers were used to serve as a link between the filtered thoughts and the minds of the children. Thus, all the elements served a purpose that fulfilled the motive of making this artifact. The visual aesthetic of the dream catcher encompasses the beautiful pattern that is woven using the willow and the yarn, which not just looks like a spider's web, but also involves the subtle nuances of the artist making it. The weaving of the yarn cannot be haphazard and needs the subtle creative and innovative art of patterning and weaving to look good as well as serve its function traditionally. The form of the artifact involves natural elements in the best permutation with art that makes for a beautiful artifact. The feathers and beads attached below the willow not just add to the form and content of the artifact with the individual natural qualities, but also act as the major reasons for adding beauty and making the dream catcher look attractive and something to adore. The aesthetic of the basic thought of having an artifact to just protect or rather keep intact the sanctity of the human mind by itself adds a step further to the beautiful artifact. The natural elements work their way through very well and give the piece a very earthy and natural feel. This hence further takes the art closer to nature by giving it an air of feeling of the forces of nature being at play. The cosmic idea of something superior being at play adds value and an innate aesthetic sense to the small artifact, which can be very well understood by seeing how attached an individual could get to such an artifact. The aesthetic of such a culturally driven artifact lies not just in its form that comprises of natural elements, but also of the content in terms of the story and thought of why such an artifact is needed or believed in. The beauty of a dream catcher remains in its mood-altering colors and the natural elements at play in it. The artifact not just appeals to the senses at a glance, but also soothes the mind when taken into consideration from the ideological viewpoint of why anyone would indulge in the art of making a piece that is both visually beautiful and powerful in its motive.